It seems longer than the day, and the burden feels heavier than the back that bears it. The winds blow fierce, the doors remain shut, and the heavens seem silent. You may have found yourself in such a season. Oh, but child, listen to me closely now. There is a stirring in the spiritual realm, and heaven is bending its ear toward the cries of the righteous. July 22, beloved, is not just a day on the calendar. It is a sacred appointment, a divine moment inked in heaven's own journal, a day when miracles come down like rain upon dry land. The Lord told me to tell Yug, if you pray this prayer 2 times, with faith unshaken and heart unveiled, He will send an urgent miracle. Let me take your hand now, not in flesh, but in spirit, and walk with you down the corridor of belief. Because prayer is not just a whisper into the air. No, prayer is a declaration. Prayer is your spirit's thunder rolling across heaven's floor. It is not small. It is not weak. And on July 22, it shall be your key. So say this with me now. O Lord of heaven and earth, I call upon you in my hour of need. Where the world has failed me, you have stood. Where doors were shut, you held the key. Where time was running out, you slowed the clock. Lord, send now a miracle, not tomorrow, but today, not in delay, but in divine urgency. I am your child. I have waited. I have wept, but I still believe. Do not pass me by, O God! Let the angels hear my cry. Shake the heavens, move the mountain, split the sea if you must. But answer me, I believe. I believe. I believe. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. There are moments in the pages of time that carry a divine weight. Moments when the veil between heaven and earth grows thin and sacred winds begin to whisper through the stillness. July 22 is such a moment. A day not crafted by men, but appointed by the holy hand of the Almighty. It is not merely another mark on a calendar. No, it is a day when the heavens pause, when angels gather, when the Spirit leans in close, waiting for a soul bold enough to speak, faithful enough to believe, and humble enough to receive. It is a divine appointment, sacred summons written in eternal ink upon the scrolls of glory. Too often we look at dates as ordinary, as fleeting. One comes and another goes. But, child, let me tell you something your soul already knows. Not all days are equal. Some carry the echoes of prophecy. Some days are soaked in the oil of destiny. And July 22 is one of those days. It's not just a moment. It's a message. It's not just a date. It's a doorway. It is a space in time set aside by the divine where the impossible becomes possible and the delayed becomes delivered. You must understand that God does not operate as man does. We rush and scramble, we race the clock and chase the sun. But God moves with purpose. God moves with precision. And when He appoints a time, the whole universe aligns with it. July 22 has been bathed in preparation. The angels are on assignment, and the Spirit of the Lord is stirring waters long still, stirring them for the one who dares to step in. This is not about coincidence, my dear. This is about calling. This is not about luck. It is about light. The kind of light that breaks chains, that opens prison doors, that calls dead things back to life. On this day, heaven waits for earth's reply. The trumpet has not yet sounded, but the air already hums with the vibration of glory. This is a time when miracles are not stored. They are released. But hear me now, the key is in the obedience. It is not enough to know the day. One must also show up for it. One must come to the altar of expectation, to the place of reverent readiness, to the edge of belief, and take a step into faith. For when you rise on that sacred morning, when the breath of July 22 kisses your skin, know that it is not just the sun rising. It is your moment rising. There are days when prayers fall like pebbles in a vast ocean. And then there are days when they strike the very throne of God like thunder. July 22 is that kind of day, but only for the ones who come prepared. This is not a moment for routine prayers. No, this is not the time for casual repetition or for lukewarm faith. This is the moment when your soul must cry out, when your spirit must speak louder than your fears. when your belief must outweigh your doubt. Now, I don't know what it is you need. Maybe it's healing. Maybe it's a door. Maybe it's peace. Or maybe, beloved, you've just grown weary of holding on. Whatever it is, July 22 has been anointed for release. The kind of release that makes doctors speechless and enemies confused. The kind of blessing that makes no sense to man, but perfect sense to God. The kind of miracle that reminds you he still sits on the throne and that he has not forgotten your name. There are seasons when we plant, and there are seasons when we water. But then, there are seasons when we reap. July 22 is a reaping season. It is a gathering time. What you have sown in tears, God is preparing to harvest in joy. What you buried in surrender, God is preparing to raise in glory. But you must be willing to come forward. You must be willing to pray. You must be willing to believe, not just with your lips, but with your life. You must rise up on July 22 and declare, "Today is my day." And when you say that prayer, say it not as one hoping, but as one knowing, because hope waits. But faith walks. Faith opens doors. Faith pulls down strongholds. Faith dares to speak to God as a child speaks to a loving father, knowing that he hears, and not only hears, but moves. This divine appointment, this holy invitation, it is not reserved for the mighty or the wealthy or the perfect. No, it is for the broken-hearted, the overlooked, the weary traveler whose knees are sore from praying and whose eyes are tired from searching. It is for the soul who whispers, "Lord, don't pass me by." And he won't. Oh, how he won't, because July 22 is marked with mercy. It drips with grace, and it is laced with purpose. So when that day comes, my dear, I want you to rise like the morning sun. I want you to stand firm, even if your knees shake. I want you to look up, not around, not behind, but up, because your help is not coming from man. It is coming from the hills, from the heavens, from the holy. Speak that prayer twice, not as a ritual, but as a declaration, once to awaken the heavens, and again to awaken your soul. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. And this day, this blessed and holy day, has come as an answer to the silent tears you cried when no one else was watching. July 22 is your moment, your page in the book of miracles. And if you dare to believe it, if you dare to speak it, if you dare to receive it, then watch what heaven will do. For God is not a man that he should lie. If he said the day is set, then the day is set. If he said the miracle is ready, then the miracle is already on its way. All that remains is your voice, your heart, your prayer, and your belief. He is waiting. He is listening. And, beloved, he is ready. Let the heavens open. Let the angels rejoice. Let the miracle fall, because July 22 is here. And it is your time. You see, child, there is something ancient and holy in repetition when it is laced with faith. It is not about redundancy. No, it is not about echoing empty words like clanging cymbals in a hollow chamber. It is about pressing deeper. It is about persistence. It is about speaking with the certainty of a soul who knows that God not only hears, but answers. There is a reason the widow kept knocking at the judge's door. A reason the blind man kept crying out, "Son of David, have mercy on me." A reason the woman with the issue of blood kept pressing, even when the crowd pushed her back. There is power in the second cry, power in the second touch, power in saying it one more time. Now, some folk will tell you that if you say it once, that's enough. They'll say if you really believe, you wouldn't have to repeat yourself. But those folks don't know your pain. They don't know the weight you've carried in the midnight hours, when your heart ached and your hands trembled. They don't know how long you've waited or how much you've lost. So when you go before God on July 22, don't you be afraid to speak that prayer twice. Don't you feel ashamed for asking again, because every time you say it, you are not weakening your faith. You are strengthening it. Prayer, my beloved, is not a script. It is not a polished poem written in gold leaf and mounted on the walls of a cathedral. Prayer is raw. Prayer is real. Prayer is the cry that bursts forth when words are all you have and tears become your punctuation. And when you say this powerful prayer 2 times on that sacred day, it is not just your voice that speaks. It is your soul that shouts. Let me tell you something my grandmother once whispered into my ear when I was just a little girl, sitting on the edge of a porch that creaked like old bonus. Baby, when you pray, pray like you know the door is about to open. And that, dear heart, is what I want you to do. I want you to pray the first time like the key has entered the lock. And I want you to pray the second time like the door has swung open wide. The first time you say the prayer, you are aligning yourself with God's will. You are stepping out of the realm of anxiety and into the river of trust. You are turning your eyes from the problem to the provider. The first time is your surrender. It is your laying down. It is your moment of saying, Lord, not my strength, but yours. And the second time, oh, child, the second time is different. The second time is not surrender. It is warfare. It is your declaration. It is your boldness. It is your lion's roar in the valley of dry bones. The second time says, I'm not asking because I'm unsure. I'm asking because I know you're able. There's a holy fire that burns in the second prayer. It carries the rhythm of expectation and the fragrance of hope. It is not a whisper. It is a song. It is not a plea. It is a prophecy. It is not timid. It is triumphant. Because the second time comes from a place where has fled and faith has found its footing. Do you know what happens in the spirit when a believer says something twice in faith? Chains begin to rattle. Doors begin to groan under the pressure of your praise. The enemy begins to tremble because he knows that your second cry is rooted in something unshakable. That second prayer is when you say, I will not back down. I will not bow to doubt. I will not give up until God shows up. Oh, how sweet it is to watch the heavens move for the one who prays without ceasing. For the one who says, even if I don't see it the first time, I will speak it again. That's the kind of faith that makes miracles fall like rain on parched ground. That's the kind of heart that touches God's throne. Don't let anyone silence your second cry. Don't let pride keep you from asking again. There is nothing small about repetition when your soul is reaching for something divine. In fact, when Jesus was in the garden, sweating blood beneath the olive trees, he didn't just pray once. No, he went back and prayed again. Even the Son of God knew the weight of praying twice when the hour was urgent. And, my dear, your hour is urgent. Your need is not small. Your prayer is not a whisper lost in the wind. It is a banner raised in the battlefield of life, and God is marching toward it. He is not ignoring you. He is not delaying for delay's sake. Sometimes the heavens are silent not because they are closed, but because they are working. And your second prayer is the hammer that helps finish the door God is building for you. So on July 22, when that morning sun peeks over the horizon and the day unfolds like a sacred scroll, I want you to get quiet. I want you to breathe deeply, and I want you to pray. Say it once with surrender, then say it again with power. Say it once with open hands, then say it again with a lifted heart. Speak that prayer not as one begging for scraps, but as a beloved child of a mighty king. For it is written that the fervent, effectual prayer of the righteous availeth much. And when you speak it the second time, your prayer becomes fervent. It becomes effectual. It becomes a sound that heaven cannot ignore. God is not bothered by your repetition. He is moved by your resolve. The second time is not for him to hear better. It is for you to believe deeper. The second time turns your prayer from a wish into a weapon, from a whisper into a war cry, from a question into a command. So pray, beloved, then pray again, and watch what your God will do. Because when you say this powerful prayer 2 times, you are not just praying, you are preparing the earth for a miracle and the sky for a blessing. And I truly believe, that he will answer, not just soon, but suddenly. Faith, dear heart, is not a fragile feather floating in the breeze. It is not a delicate thing meant only for poetry or songs. No, faith is a force, a flame, a roar, a root deep enough to hold you when the winds of life try to blow you over. It is the bridge between what is and what shall be. Faith is what moves God. Not your tears, not your timing, not even your talent, but your faith. And child, if you can hold on to faith, especially when everything around you is shaking, then you are holding on to the very heartbeat of heaven. In the quiet moments of despair, when the doctor has no words and the bank says no, when your friends are silent and your strength is spent, faith whispers, God still can. Faith says, wait a little longer. Faith says, he's coming through even if the answer hasn't come yet. Faith is not found in the light. Faith shines in the dark. You see, people often talk about belief as though it's soft, as though it's optional. But baby, belief is survival. It's the lamp that keeps your soul from going blind in the midnight hour. It's the seed that dares to grow in dry ground. And the truth is, miracles do not fall into the lap of the doubting. No, they come to the heart that dares to expect, even when expectation hurts. Now don't confuse faith with feelings. Feelings shift like shadows. They rise and fall like tides. You can feel afraid and still believe. You can cry and still believe. You can wonder how and still say, Lord, I trust you. Because faith is not the absence of weakness. Faith is choosing to lean on God even in weakness. Let me remind you of a truth carved in eternity. God does not need your strength to move. He only needs your faith. The woman who touched the hem of his garment didn't come with status or strength. She came with desperation and belief. Blind Bartimaeus didn't see Jesus. He believed him. The centurion didn't need proof. He just said, speak the word, Lord, and my servant shall be healed. Every miracle in the Bible followed someone's decision to believe when logic said not to. Faith opens doors that talent can't. It brings down walls that armies won't. It lifts burdens that no man can carry and parts seas that feet were never meant to walk on. Oh, child, don't you know? God is drawn to faith. He responds to it. It is the language of heaven. It is the currency of the kingdom. You can't buy a blessing, but you can believe for one, and belief, deep, soul-rooted, tear-soaked belief, makes things move in the realm you cannot see. And yet, how often we trade our faith for fear. How often we let the voices of this world speak louder than the voice of God. How often we set our eyes on the storm and forget the one who walks on waves. But not you, not this time, not on July 22. Because that sacred day is not for the faint-hearted. It is for the ones who dare to believe again, even after the heartbreak. It is for the one who dares to kneel, not in defeat, but in expectation. It is for the soul that says, Lord, I don't see it, but I believe you. And when God sees that kind of faith, not shallow, not showy, but pure, persistent, powerful faith, he responds. Heaven doesn't need a crowd to send a miracle. It just needs a believer, not a perfect one, not a loud one, but a real one who says, even now I still trust you. One who says, I prayed, and I'll keep on praying. One who says, I don't have all the answers, but I still believe you are the answer. You see, faith doesn't deny the mountain, it just refuses to be stopped by it. It doesn't ignore the storm, it speaks through it. And when you walk in faith, even if your voice trembles, your words carry weight. When you say, I believe, heaven hears the sound of chains breaking. Miracles begin in the heart that believes before it sees. Let me tell you what the Lord cherishes more than gold and silver. It is the heart that trusts him when the blessing hasn't arrived. It is the voice that says, thank you, before the gift has even been delivered. Faith is not waiting for evidence. It is the evidence. It is the conviction of things unseen. It is the fire that burns when all else has gone cold. Now, I won't lie to you. Faith will test you. It will stretch you. It will make you cry some nights and question in others. But don't you let go. Hold fast. Keep believing, because somewhere between your prayer and his answer, a miracle is already unfolding. God is not asking you to understand. He's asking you to trust. Not because he's distant, but because he's divine. Not because he's unsure, but because he's sovereign. He knows the weight of your waiting. He knows the timeline of your tears, and he honors your faith more than you can imagine. On July 22, don't just say the prayer. Say it with belief. Say it like the answer is already on the way. Say it like angels are standing by. Say it with the kind of faith that reaches out and grabs heaven by the hem. Because when you believe, truly believe, you give God room to do the impossible. The mountain may still be tall. The bank account may still be low. The report may still say no. But your faith can shift the balance. Your belief can cancel delay. Your trust can birth a testimony that will leave others speechless. You, my beloved, are not weak for believing again. You are not foolish for hoping still. You are not Nora for praying twice. You are brave. You are bold. And you are walking the narrow road that leads to a miracle. Don't stop. Don't waver. Don't listen to the noise of doubt or fear. Turn your face toward the one who has never failed, and let your faith rise like the morning sun. Because the miracle is coming. Because he is faithful. Because he always keeps his word. And because, above all, faith still moves the hand of God. It's already in motion, beloved. Though your eyes may not yet behold it, though your hands may still be empty and your heart still heavy, it is coming. The miracle you've cried for in the midnight hour, the answer you've whispered in secret, the breakthrough you have believed for with every beat of your trembling heart, it is not lost in the winds. It is not forgotten in the folds of time. No, no. It is already moving, already forming, already unfolding behind the veil of what we call unseen. You see, we often confuse silence with absence. We assume that when we cannot hear God, he must not be speaking, that when we cannot see him, he must not be working. But, oh, how wrong we are, for God does not always shout above the noise. Sometimes he builds in the quiet. Sometimes he weaves miracles into the ordinary, like the stars hiding behind the daylight or the roots growing deep beneath the soil. And while you were waiting, wondering, worrying, he was working. The miracle is not delayed. The miracle is developing. We humans are bound by time. We look at the clock and expect God to obey it. But God is not late, and he is never early. He moves in rhythm, not in rush. He works according to eternity, not urgency. And sometimes, in his infinite wisdom, he withholds the visible so that he can mature the invisible. Because what good is a blessing if it arrives before you are ready to receive it? What good is a door opened too soon, when your legs are not yet strong enough to walk through it? So he works in the shadows. He works in the stillness. He works while you rest and even while you wrestle. He works in your doubts, in your prayers, in your fasting, in your groaning. His hand never stops moving. You may not see it yet, but heaven's blueprint has already been drawn. The materials have been gathered. The answer is en route. Oh yes, child, it is already in motion. Now don't grow weary while you wait, for the waiting season is not a punishment. It is a preparation. It is the sacred stretch of faith that allows your soul to rise to the size of the miracle. A rushed blessing is like picking fruit too early. It may look right on the outside, but it lacks sweetness within. But when God gives you something, when it comes in his time, it is complete. It is holy. It is abundant. It is good. You must trust that though you cannot trace his hand, you can trust his heart. And his heart is for you. His love is not passive. His grace is not hesitant. His plans for you are not shallow dreams. They are deep wells overflowing with promise. There are angels, even now, assigned to your name. There are shifts happening in the spirit realm that no eye can see. There are hearts being stirred, resources being moved, people being positioned, systems being rearranged. Also, your miracle can meet you at the perfect moment. It's not coincidence, it's orchestration. It's divine choreography written by a God who does all things well. Think of Joseph thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison. To man, it looked like delay, but to God, it was divine direction. Every step, though painful, was positioning him for a moment of greatness. What others saw as a detour was actually the divine path. And so it is with you. The miracle is already walking your way. And each trial, each tear, each test, it's been preparing you to receive it without fear, to hold it without pride, to carry it without dropping it. You think you've been in a waiting room, but beloved, you've been in a training ground. And let me say this, just because the world doesn't see it, doesn't mean it isn't real. Just because people say, it's been too long, doesn't mean it's too late. Just because the enemy whispers, you missed it, doesn't mean God has changed his mind about you. No, the promise still stands. The blessing still belongs to you, and the miracle is still headed your way. All you must do is keep believing. Now hear me clear, child. Do not confuse activity with evidence. God is not always noisy. He doesn't always make a grand entrance. Sometimes he slips in through the cracks of your ordinary days and places a miracle so softly in your lap, you don't even know it's there until you breathe again. Sometimes the motion of God feels like stillness. Sometimes his progress feels like silence. But just like a seed planted in the earth, you don't see the growth, yet it is happening. Roots are forming, strength is building, and when the time is right, when the heavens open, that miracle will burst forth like a flower in bloom. Not 1 second too early, not 1 second too late. So don't give up now. Don't let discouragement talk you out of your blessing. Don't let delay convince you that God is done. He's not done. He's just beginning. The winds are already shifting. The oil is already flowing. The stone has already started rolling away. Resurrection is near. And it is coming for you. I know your heart is tired. I know your eyes are swollen from all the tears you never meant to cry. But this is the moment to stand. Not because you feel strong, but because your miracle needs to see you ready. Stand, even if your knees shake. Speak, even if your voice trembles. Believe, even if your faith is only the size of a mustard seed. Because, beloved, that's all it takes. Just a little faith in a big God. Just one breath of hope in a storm of despair. Just one prayer spoken twice. And heaven moves. So on July 22, when you rise from your bed, I want you to walk into that day like it's already answered, like the miracle is already yours. Speak it. Claim it. Thank God in advance. Because when you do, you are not hoping blindly. You are aligning with the truth that it is already in motion, and the God who began this good work in you, he will bring it to completion. Yes, he will, because your miracle, child, is on its way. There is a sacred urgency that lives in the soul of those who know what it is to wait, to wrestle, and to wonder. And when that urgency meets faith, oh, how the heavens respond. God is not moved by panic. No, panic is a thief that comes to steal your breath and make you forget the promises whispered to you in the dark. But urgency wrapped in belief, that stirs the throne of grace, that reaches the holy ear of the Almighty. That, my dear, invites the miraculous into your life. You see, urgency without faith is just noise, but urgency rooted in trust, that is a spiritual trumpet, a holy alarm that tells heaven, now is the time. There are moments in this life when you cannot afford to wait for another sign. Moments when you cannot sit still, hoping for better weather. There are moments when your soul rises up with such fire that you pray not because it's your habit, but because your survival depends on it. And child, when you meet God in that space, When you approach him not out of formality but with fervor, he hears you differently. He leans in. He listens close. He moves swiftly. There is a story woven into the Gospels about a woman with an issue of blood. For 12 long years, she suffered in silence, going from physician to physician, spending all she had, losing more than just her health. She lost her name. She lost her place. She lost her peace. But one day something shifted in her spirit. She didn't walk to Jesus pallidly. No. She pressed through the crowd with urgency. She crawled. She reached. She believed. She told herself, if I can just touch the hem of his garment. And child, do you know what happened? Jesus stopped. He felt the power move from him. He turned to her not to scold her but to honor her. It was her faith, fueled by urgency, that made the miracle come. It was not desperation alone. It was a desperate faith, a holy insistence that she would not be denied, and God responds to that kind of bold belief. He always has. He always will. On July 22, when you say that powerful prayer 2 times, let it be with a heart like hers. Let it be full of holy fire, not just words thrown to the wind, but a prayer that demands attention because it carries both conviction and reverence. This is not a time for rehearsed words. This is a time for soul speech, for your spirit to reach up and say, Lord, I know you hear me. Lord, I know you see me. Lord, I trust you to answer, and I need it now. God is not intimidated by urgency. He does not grow weary with your repeated knocking. In fact, he tells us, ask, and you shall receive. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door will be opened. The original language of that scripture suggests continuous action. Keep asking, keep seeking, keep knocking. God invites that kind of persistence. He welcomes the urgency that flows from belief. He honors the soul that won't let go until he blesses. Let me tell you, beloved, miracles don't fall into passive hands. They fall into the hands of those who wait actively, praying, fasting, praising, and believing even when the skies remain silent. They fall upon those who know how to call on the name of the Lord not just once, not just when it's convenient, but again and again, with a heart that won't back down. There's something beautiful, something holy about urgency guided by trust. It's not panic. It's purpose. It's the spiritual posture of one who knows time is not promised, but grace is. It's the heart of a mother praying for her child, the cry of a man who's fallen and is ready to be raised, the sigh of a weary soul who says, Lord, I cannot make it another day without your hand on me. And child, God hears that kind of cry. He doesn't turn his face from it. He draws near. He steps in. He shows up. Now listen closely. When you speak your prayer on July 22, don't come with timidity. Come with certainty, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. You are the child of a miracle-working God, the child of a king who still parts seas, who still speaks to storms, who still rolls stones away. So pray like you believe it. Pray like you know he is both willing and able. Let your urgency be the sound of your expectancy. He doesn't need your perfection. He needs your persistence. He doesn't wait for eloquence. He waits for earnestness. And beloved, he does not turn away from the one who comes to him in faith, saying, I need you, Lord, and I need you now. Don't be ashamed of your urgency. Don't apologize for your need. You are not weak for wanting relief. You are not selfish for desiring change. You are simply human, and you have a Father who is divine. He is the one who meets need with abundance, who answers with wisdom, who acts not when we demand, but when we believe with full hearts that he will. So when the sun rises on July 22, let your spirit rise with it. Let your voice echo into the chambers of heaven. Say your prayer not once but twice, once to stir the heavens, and again to stir your own soul. And when you pray, pray with that holy urgency, the kind that does not beg but believes, the kind that does not waver but waits well, the kind that says, Lord, I trust your timing, but I know you can move suddenly. Yes, He can, and yes, He will. Miracles are not myths. They are the breath of God made manifest. And yours is not far off. It is near. It is waiting. And it has responded to the sound of your faith-filled urgency. So rise up, child of God. The door is about to open. The answer is about to come. And the heavens, oh, the heavens, are already